Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on air on holidays, big time, right? It's sort of like it's really upon us. We've only got a couple of weeks to go, and so what I wanted to do was really take a moment and try and talk about it a bit more, but also just give you a couple of two by fours to remind you how much of your stress is self-created. I call it the self-inflicted wound. And so I hope that you are ready for that. Take a deep breath and put your big girl or boy pants on, and hear it from where I'm coming from, which is to try and keep your emotional intelligence in check during this very stressful season. Hi there, Jeannie. Good to see you. For those who don't know, Jeannie is one of our admins, and always a pleasure to see you here. So, let's start off by saying, as we've got 2 weeks, as I've said, to go until Christmas, and just 100 days to go until spring. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dear Mama Sal, but Dear Mama Sal is not just me. It's a group of us who get together a couple of times a week as we hold each other's hands through reality. And we know that that's a pretty difficult time. Hi, Jody. Jody is our main admin, and always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for making the time to be here with us. And so, and those of you who don't know me, well, hi, Karen. Good to see you too. Um, know that I don't do winter very well, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. But so for me, I'm delighted to be able to tell you only 100 days until spring. That means tomorrow we'll be in the double digits. Yay! So exciting. Um, I look forward to that so much. You have no idea. Aesop of fable fame, Aesop's fable, said, "A crust eaten in peace is better than a banquet partake in anxiety." How many of you agree with that? How many of you can feel the tension just drop away with that? A crust eaten in peace is better than a banquet partaken in anxiety. So, number one is I want you to get a really firm grip on yourself this holiday season. And I'm going to be talking a lot about what is self inflicted and what is reality. So hopefully that you'll be able to balance that. Um, Karen's got some stress going on. She said my cat is currently going after the yarn as I'm making the blanket. Ah. So anyway, here we go. Thoughts and prayers for anybody who might need them this week. And as far as I know, we don't have any birthdays this week that I am aware of. So please let me know if we have missed it, which means that it's not on our database. And if you're a regular either on the live broadcast or on the replays, we do like to acknowledge your birthdays and important days. Just a reminder for those of you who've been following health updates, both Jeannie and I got the okay on our mammograms, and we do encourage everybody to get their mammograms done. And then also, Jody made it through her operation so bravely, and then got an infection and ended up in ER. It's just like, really, Jody, you are just such a superstar. So, and she's been to the doctor. They've, got her on antibiotics. They put her on the good stuff in hospital, the IV stuff, and now they've got her on oral antibiotics. Is that infection going down at all, Jody? Let us know, just because people will want to know. Um, so I just don't want to go on until we've just found out what that update is from Jody. It's just like, well, she's been through the wars this week, I tell you. But as usual, she's here. No excuses. Not, oh, I'm too sick, I can't be there. There are times when she really outdoes me so much that I'm in awe of her. Um, okay, it's starting to heal, but it's being a bit stubborn because I'm a slow healer. Yeah, of course you are. You've got a compromised immune system going on there. So here's another quote for you. Think about this one for a second. For how many of you have still got a sense of humor? I hope some of you have, because, it's one of the main things we rely on here. It says, do you remember the things you were worried about a year ago? You remember this time last year you were getting all stressed out? How did they work out for you? Didn't you waste a lot of fruitless energy on account of most of them? And didn't most of them just turn out just fine anyway? You see, and that's the whole thing. I really want to say that, you know, if you don't like the stress of this time of the year, then I'm pretty sure you'd agree then we need to plan it better, right? And I've got my journal stroke notebook here. I call it the Bible because, and I mean no disrespect, because anything I go, something, this was a pain and I don't want to repeat it next year, I will make a note in here. And then when I'm doing my planning, I will go, okay, what am I still working on? All right. And, I, I will just see, okay, for example, I'm still waiting for a quote on my teeth. Uh, and I just go through here once a week and go, okay, which of my goals am I still working on? Okay. Started it in November. But what I want you to write in yours is, you know, Christmas have been a lot easier if, and answer those questions and then plan to do them. What is it they say? Those that succeed, they plan to succeed. But those who fail to heed the plan or something. It's just like, we can do this. We just got to get more organized. And every year we promise ourselves we're going to, right? I've done so much better this year. I'm very pleased with myself for that. So what I want to talk about is I did a bit of research, and they reckon there are 5 major stressors. I mean, there are a lot more than 5, but 5 major ones that I think we can talk around. And how many of you would agree that probably the most pressing one is the family and social pressures? The pressures put upon you by your family and or social. Now, I think you all know that one of the ways I got away from a lot of the stress is I celebrate Christmas on different days with different people, not on December the 25th. Now, Dougie's coming to visit me this week. And so part of my Christmas will be with him on Tuesday, because the chances are I won't see him again until New Year because he's so busy. And I will just check that with him. And if I won't see him until then you understand he's going home with his Christmas presents. And when he opens them, it's up to him. So let's have a look at some of these things about family and social things. I think it's a good time for us all to remember that we choose to accept a lot of pressure from other people. We choose to accept it. We don't stop it on the way in, all right? People load things onto us, and we don't put down a boundary, and we don't say, and we're scared to use the word no. And so what I want you all to think about is how relevant that is. Just hold on one second. I want to read something Jeannie's writing here. Oh, how sad. Jeannie, I was going to talk about York later, Jeannie, so towards the end of the broadcast. And there's a reason for that, because to me, it's the 5th stressor. But Jeannie saying that in today's newspaper, I saw that one of York's high school pals, York being her husband who passed last year, and I feel so bad for his wife of over 50 years. It reminded me of York's death. Yes, I'm sure. How could it not? And that's why, Jeannie, I mean, no disrespect, but I'm going to address that towards the end, because to me, it is one of the most important ones that I want to leave everybody with, all right, is how important that sadness and loneliness one is. Okay, so start off with this family and how we do not stop the pressure. Now, one of the things that I find is that people are inclined to make that telephone call or send you that text. You know the one that says, "Oh, I'm glad I got hold of you. Just to let you know, I'm expecting you to bring three side dishes, and also make cookies." You know the one I'm talking about, right? They haven't discussed it with you. They just suddenly tell you. Now, the reason that that is a problem is because 9 times out of 10, we just go, and try and do it all. And, I want to tell you, I have got so good at answering those sort of demands on me. And, I want you to do X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. And, whenever I see that where somebody wants me to do something, I write back and go, I always try and do it with a sense of humor. And I go, you made me laugh here because, I want Brad Pitt, but I don't think I'm going to get him. That's reality. Now, about the four things you'd like me to do, bring the three side dishes and then also bake cookies. Yep. It did make me laugh. Thank you so much for making me laugh today. Obviously, I can't do them. It's too late. Now, if we had been planning this a month ago, I might have the budget and the time allotted to be able to do it. All right? So Jeannie's saying, I do not allow person's demands like that. Yeah, from me. Exactly, Jeannie. And that's our responsibility, right? We have the right to say no, but 9 times out of 10 people are scared to say no. And then they try and manipulate you, that suck you in, and they go, well, everybody else is doing it. And you go, well, that's fine. I don't mind what everybody else is doing. That's great. I just want to tell you, I can't do 3 dishes and do the cookies. So let's get realistic. What I can do is probably 1 or 2 dishes. Which 1 or 2 would you like? And forget the cookies. Or if you've got the budget, because I don't, if you've got the budget for me to go to the local Safeway or whatever, and buy these things in the supermarket, I'll do that one trip and bring them over. What would you like? In other words, you haven't budgeted to make 4 dishes and do the cookies. So somebody trying to load that onto you with the expense that comes with it is rude. And sometimes I will even say, now, if you can find some other sucker who won't say no, be my guest, But I will do 1 or 2. Which 1 or 2 would you like? You see, I've always found giving people a choice works really well. Exactly, Jody. Jody's saying ingredients are so expensive now as well. Yeah, what used to be a simple dish, 20 years ago is now, a feast in terms of cost. So I'd like you really to get practicing the word no and getting a sense of humor. So when you hear this large sucking sound, because the reason they're loading this onto you is because they didn't organize properly. Now, one thing I learned in management, and I used to say it a lot to my staff, was, your lack of planning does not constitute my need to go under stress. Yes, and as I said to Jody many years ago, no is a complete sentence. Yeah, I hear that's what you want me to do, but the answer is no. Sorry, don't have the budget all the time this year. Find somebody else. Well, there isn't anybody else. Okay, then we do without. You see, it is possible to do, but you have to be pretty strong about it. Would you agree? And if you can, you're going to have a much better Christmas. Now, they will try and manipulate you. They will try and guilt you and shame you and all. And by the way, when you hear that happening, you just laugh and go, I even hear you trying to guilt me out here. And it's not working because I know I still don't have the time or the finances to be able to do it. You just be a broken record. And eventually they get bored and find somebody else or do without. Very important. So understand that a lot of these things overwhelm us because we keep taking them on. Do we all agree on that? And I'm certain you can all think of times when you have done that. Now then, we had a really nice question from one of our viewers. And I want you to listen to what her question was of me. And then, obviously you'll have your own answers on this one. But she said, wonder if you can help me with the following situation. You're asked to bring something to a potluck, and you spend time and money and invest your creativity in bringing a dish. Okay. However, at the event, whatever the potluck event was about, everybody else's food gets gobbled up except yours. And you end up in that embarrassing situation where they're packing up your contribution and handing it back to you in front of everybody. How many of you have been there and done that? Have that happen? So I love the question because to me it was brilliant. It was just like if you haven't been there, then you probably will. And so now what I want to do is just go through a couple of points with you. And forgive me, I just need to get my notes here. Um, First of all, you need to get a reality check, viewer, on did they actually specify what you should bring? Or did they just say, could you bring a dish? In which case, you did. It, they didn't say you need to bring a dish that everybody's going to love. Do we agree on that? Right? They just said, it's a potluck, bring a dish. And you did. You even filled the dish with something. you know, and so to me, it's about that's never specified. Now, sometimes there'll be others who will say, I want you to bring, a snowball salad or something. They'll be specific because they've thought it all through. They don't care whether you're good at making it or not. That's just what they want you to bring. Yeah, Jody's saying, I've been there. I made a cranberry pie for a Thanksgiving gathering, and it was a flop. Yeah, exactly. So you understand, this isn't about you were asked to bring a dish and you did, right? You did your side of the bargain. Now, if you're saying the reason you got embarrassed was because nobody wanted it, then you go to your journal, your book, or whatever. Okay? And what you do is you write down, because this is going to happen again. You're going to get invited to a potluck. And you're going to make a note to yourself to start researching the 20 most loved potluck meals. All right? So next time you go, you make something that people love to eat, not what you love to make. All right. So Jody, who does everything, above and beyond, said not only did she make that cranberry pie, but she also bought 3 other pies, all of which were devoured. But what does she remember? The one they didn't like. Isn't that funny how we remember that one? So going back to our viewer who asked this question, right? Get out your notebook and start researching what are the 20 most enjoyed potluck meals or dishes. All right. And then become good at making a couple of them. Now, the reason I say that, I live in a community where we in the summer do a lot of, not a lot, but we do more than one. What we call driveway parties, right, where everybody brings their own drink and everybody brings some potluck, and we all sit down and jabber away for a couple of hours and have quite the feast. But what I've noticed is everybody's good at something. All right, they have their favorite that they like to bring. We've got one that makes the most incredible baked beans. Now, she doesn't care whether anybody else likes baked beans. She's just really good at it. Now, luckily, most of us love her baked beans. So she doesn't think twice when she has one of these. She knows, we all know she's going to be bringing baked beans. There's another one who's really good at deviled eggs. Makes sense? There's another one who's, and so it goes on. So now what you want to look at is maybe when the hostess says to you, could you bring something for a potluck? You go, yeah, what are you normally short of? And, who says you have to make it, people? If they say, well, we would like some dessert pie, you go, okay, fine, I'll pop in the Safeway on the way in and pick up a couple of pies. You see, we make it more trouble than it really is. How many of you agree with it? Now, if you're Jeannie or Jody, who get their pleasure out of making stuff like that, right? Then do you understand you're not going to pop into the local supermarket and pick up a pie. You're going to bake it, or you're going to make it, or you're going to do above and beyond because that's who you are. That's fine. But don't get embarrassed because nobody likes it. Remember that crust eaten in peace. And it's okay for them not to like it. Now, I have learned a rule about that. If I take anything to a potluck now, I ask myself, if nobody likes this, can I reuse it or will I have wasted it? Or, in other words, if you're making sandwiches and stuff, you maybe have got it for another day, but after that, they're wasted. Excuse me. Okay. So I like to think about what can I make that if they don't eat it, I can bring it home and freeze it. Makes sense? So I'm always now on that risk management thing because I've had it happen to me as well. So, um, but there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for you to feel embarrassed, right? The fact that nobody else liked it, I made a couple of dishes that nobody had, and I just went, okay, that's fine. I got more for myself. Now the thing is to do it with humor. All right, when they're packing up your contribution and handing it back to you. And I'm inclined to look at it and go, well, I guess we found out what not to bring next year. That's what I do. And I go, okay, I guess I found out what not to bring next time. But good job. I bring stuff that I enjoy eating because that's going home and going in the freezer. And I'm going to enjoy that for the next couple of months. Do you understand the logic? Haven't wasted the money. Why? It's going in the freezer and it's going to make food for me for the next couple of months. So, um, the other thing is please do not spend more time or money than you want to. All right. Um, Now, I I can spend hours making my own puff pastry and making treats. All right. Or I can go to the store and buy puff pastry. Or I can go to the store and buy the desserts I was going to make with puff pastry. Right. So Jeannie's saying, I find that lots of ladies really enjoy a variety of meatballs as well as chicken breasts with some sort of sauce on them. Yeah, find out what people like. All right. Now, Girish, let's say, for example, you're really good at shepherd's pie or cottage pie or something like that in the winter months. That's a really nice thing to take. But, you've got one person that can't eat it because they're vegetarian. That's okay. They'll bring whatever they can eat, right? You don't have to worry too much because, um, they'll sort their own food out. We've got somebody here locally who has a number of issues, and she always brings what she can eat, so she knows she'll have plenty to eat. Makes sense, right? So make a list of what you want to make next time, and then remember you don't have to make it, right? Now you're saying, "Oh, well, that's cheating, Sal." I disagree, right? They didn't say, "Could you bring a dish and you must make it yourself?" Right? And they said, we're having a potluck." So people bring what they enjoy 9 times out of 10. Now, the other thing I've noticed, some people do not spend very much. Some people spend a lot of money and time, and some people don't spend very much at all. I'm amazed. We got one couple, whenever we have our get-togethers, they always bring chips and dip. And by the way, the chips come in the packages, and the dip comes, straight out of the store. Mhm. Or they bring a bag of rolls, bread rolls. It's just like they do not make it hard work. So think about how much hard work you create for yourself and ask yourself, why do I do that? Because you want to show off. I was talking to somebody this week and I said, well, my Christmas lights are outside, so the neighbors will be happy. If you think about it, your outside Christmas lights, how much do you see them? I look at it and go, okay, well, the neighbors should be happy now. Jeannie's saying a miserly cousin like to buy watermelon, hollow it out, and add a few other fruits. I don't think that's miserly. Why do you think that's miserly? As in cheapskate? No, I don't think that's. Or do you mean that thrifty rather than miserly? I think a hollowed out watermelon full of fruit is great. Who doesn't like fruit, right? Very few people don't like fruit. So, yes, so thrifty rather than miserly. What miserly is the connotation that's sort of Scrooge-like, right? That they're tight fit. It's not. She would spend it if she had it, but yeah, it's a great idea, Jeannie. All right, Jody's saying one year at Christmas, a relative said they were bringing a green bean dish. She showed up with a grocery bag containing raw green beans and asked for a pot to boil them in. I like this person. I can remember going to a Christmas party when I first came to Vancouver, and it was a very la-di-da type Christmas get-together and very influential people. And as I was going up the stairs, there was this tiny little saying stuck. You had to sort of really be aware to see it. And as I went up the stairs, this caught my eye, and I let my husband of the time, carry on, and I'm going. And then behind me came the hostess, and she said, "Oh, you saw that?" I said, "I sure did. I like you a lot." You know what it said? Life is too short to stuff tomatoes. Remember that. They just said bring a dish, not that you had to make it. Don't make up rules that aren't there. Ask yourself, how much do I want to spend? How much do I want to spend? And what can I bring that's least work that I want to do? All right. Now, if you want to spend 3 days preparing it, which some of you do, you'll do it anyway. All right. So do we all agree you don't have to get embarrassed? You do not have to get embarrassed. And that's the thing, that embarrassment is what you do to yourself. Yeah, Jody, I had a feeling you'd like that as well. Life's too short to be stuffing tomatoes, right? Especially this year. All right, so here we are. The holidays stress people. Try that again. The holidays stress people out so much. I suggest you keep it simple and try and have as much fun as you can. Okay. So the second stressor, unrealistic expectations, not from others, but of ourselves. How many of you fall into that trap? And so all right, now then. For those of you who know me, you know I spend all year making the most incredible things for my family and friends for Christmas. I spend all year doing it. And I overdo it. Hi, Kez. All right, so Kez is saying, my family, we like to make a few desserts and buy some salads and snacks, etc., especially when we're seeing each other most Christmases. It's very hot. It's just like, hey, how do we make it fun? Don't make I think part of it brings, it's a potluck, but don't make a big deal of it. Right? Make it simple, stupid. That's what the hostess needs to say. We're not trying to enter some competition. Right? Let's just get food on the table and plenty of it. Okay. So anyway, so those guys who know me know I love to make things, and I spend all year making them. Gives me such joy. I'm a very selfish person when it comes to Christmas because I love giving, right? And I love spending all year creating stuff that I can give. Now, what I found out is some people will say to me, "Oh, but I didn't get you anything." I'm going, "I really don't care." you know, you see, I'm very selfish, and I say that to people. I say I'm very, very selfish. Yeah. I do this because it gives me pleasure. Whether it ends up in the big round file the moment I leave the door, I don't actually care. Well, actually, I would, but it's just like I get pleasure out of giving these things. So to me, I don't expect. How many of you agree with me? I don't expect the same back from anybody. Just I don't sit there and go, well, I spent all year making them Christmas gifts, and they didn't even bother to give me. Yeah, I don't do that because people give you gifts in other ways. If you think about it, some cook you meals during the year, some are there when you're in trouble, some there are all sorts of gifts, and they get given to us all the time. The gift of loyalty, the gift of friendship, the gift of, the fact that I actually wrap a lot of my stuff up and you end up with it, you know o- on our Christmas celebration is just that thing. Yeah, Jeannie's saying some folks are givers. Now, and it depends who you are as to what you like to give. Right, Jeannie? You and Jody give food. All right, you're great at cooking stuff, and you give food to people a lot. Um, I love to create, so I give my creations, and it gives me great pleasure. But I don't expect you to do the same. Does that make sense? When you expect other people to do the same, then that is not a gift. This is, I give you something because I want something back. That's conditional shit. Oh, excuse my language. Karen saying, I prefer just to give and not get anything back because their joy is, and I agree with you, Karen. I love watching people's faces light up. Now, I've even got people who know that I love doing it that much that they actually tell me what they want now. And they don't even get embarrassed. You know what I mean? They know I'm going to be making them, so now they know what to ask for. Because they know that would be my greatest joy is to give them something I actually want. Kez is saying, what do you do when you love giving gifts and there are a few people who like to do the same? Do you mean there are not very many people who also like to do the same? I just want to make sure I'm understanding the context here, Kez. I actually don't care. You see, to me, it's just like it's not about what anybody else does. I'm just responsible for my behavior. I want to make sure that when I give somebody something, they know I didn't just pop into the store and pick this up on the way in. Yeah, I want it to look like I spent a lot of time and effort because I do. Oh, so you're saying what happens if you get a whole group of gift givers together? They are so happy, aren't they, Kez? They're the happiest people. All right. If you've got a whole group of people who love to give, but don't get tied up on what they must give. All right. That um, it doesn't have to equal your time and love and dedication. Is what I'm saying. Because people don't have your skills. They have different skills. Just be grateful for anything. Life's too damn short. Oh, I'm swearing a lot today. It's important to remember that although through the hustle and bustle of the holidays are upon you, all right, your daily routine should not end. Okay. Your everyday practices help to calm and center you, and you will need them to get through this busy season. I'm going to be talking to that in a second. All right. Now then, for example, I've got one person in my family, Doug, who believes that Christmas is a commercial ripoff and will not buy presents for anybody. Okay? Doesn't buy cards, doesn't buy presents. Now, that doesn't make him stingy. That makes him somebody who believes that it's a ripoff. And it's not about Christmas. And, if you want to celebrate Christmas, you go to church and do it. That's his thing. However, I want to tell you something. I understand that's his wish. Okay? So I don't expect anything from him for Christmas. Does that stop me from giving him? No. I'm not letting his thing spoil my joy. And so I apologize each year. I go, I know that you don't like having presents, but I'm sorry. I refuse to let you spoil my joy. So here are your presents. You see, I don't let people tell me that I can't give them a present. That would mess with who I am. How many of you understand where I'm coming from? Jeannie's saying, I made crackers with cheddar cheese, a slice of salami, green olive, and for the stuff at the vets. Yes, I think you mentioned that on Friday, because I remember about the green olives because I can't eat them. Yeah. And Kez is saying, but they don't want gifts, and I get a little hurt. But I will give very small gifts that cost very little. Yes, I give a lot of very small gifts. For example, okay, if ever I find anything and it's really useful, I will then buy more and then give it to my friends. For example, have you seen these bags that have got this sort of like pull tie on it? For anybody that's got arthritis, this is just wonderful stuff. So a lot of my friends will be getting some of these bags. Why? Because they're the same age as I am. And if I find them that useful, I'm certain they will too. Now, not an expensive gift, but useful. Okay, so I do a lot of little useful things. So do you understand that whole issue between Doug and myself? His decision doesn't have to be mine. So, Kez, you get a little hurt. That's your stuff, right? You're allowing them to affect your joy. They don't want gifts. Yeah, I've had, I say to people, if people say, oh, no, really, I don't want any gifts, fine, do me a big favor. I enjoy giving, so just pretend to receive it and either throw it in the round box on your way out, if you find one, or donate it to a homeless person. But please don't spoil my joy. I'm quite insistent about that. Please do not spoil my joy. What is wrong with people that I don't want any more junk. Mm-hmm. That can be said in private, not in public. I also try to balance things out a bit. In other words, I know that, I will enjoy making these things and give it, but I also am practical enough to go for the people that I know really well and I want to top up the Christmas presents. I will also throw in the gift card. All right, here's all the love that I spent thinking of you, but yeah, here's something you can buy something you really want. Yes, Jody's saying we're putting together little gift bags for our Meals on Wheels drivers. Doing this brings us such joy. You see, that's what it should be. All right. And do you see what I mean about it being selfish, Jody? Right? It brings us joy, right? And so that's really important. Yeah, and my grocery delivery guy, although I don't get on with him that well, he will probably get some soap or a card or something. So um now then, you know that I've had Christmas quite well planned this year. And I had yesterday planned so well. I ended up planning yesterday to have both Yvonne and Ciora. Now, for those who don't know, Yvonne is bestie, and then Ciora is a lady that comes to help me with my garden and do things that I'm, not able to do on my own anymore. And I had it planned that they both would come yesterday. because my goal was to get my Christmas tree up. And I already had all the decorations and everything on the deck here in totes, but I wanted to get the tree undone and up yesterday. And I was so proud of myself because I thought I got two people who are doers who are going to love helping me with that. And we'll get it all done and all tidied up and everything will be done. That was fine. Until when I got up, I noticed that the weather forecast that had said rain didn't tell me that it was going to be the white fluffy sort of rain. And it was coming down heavily. And sure enough, within half an hour, I had two messages, two texts. Both of my elves told me they weren't coming because of the snow. So my plan went out the window in a heartbeat. Now, again, was I angry or upset with them? No, I wrote to them both and I said, I'm so glad that you choose to be safe. And I am thankful for that. Now, could I have waited a week to get the tree up? I guess I could, but I wanted it up because it might be the day that this week I'm having not only Doug over, but I'm also having Marnie and her mother over. So I wanted the tree up. And you know what we always say, you'll always make the time and the effort for what you want to do. Agreed? So I didn't need to be upset about the people who couldn't make it. It was just a case of either leave it a week or do what you can. That's my choice, all right? I wasn't forced to put up a tree. It is my choice. So I went, okay, how can I put up this tree slowly without hurting myself? And I also wanted to move my coffee table enough to get the rug out from underneath it. And I've got a sort of rug there that is a shag type rug that I can throw in my very big washer. And I like to, do that once a year is take it from underneath the coffee table and tuck it in the washer and get it washed. And, it's like, again, I want to tell you, we always will make a plan for the things we want to do. Okay. So if you could imagine, I've got this rug, okay, and then I've got this coffee table that stands on the rug. Okay, got that feeling? And here's what I did. I just went, if they paid you $1 million, could you get that rug from under that coffee table? If they paid you $1 million to be able to do it. So hang on a second, let me just try and get the table on here. So this is the coffee table standing on this rug. Okay. So what I did was I hope some of you are laughing because I had to make a plan. So I moved the rug all the way to where the feet were. Okay, you see the feet here. Move this rug all the way to there. And then I lift one corner and with my foot, I shoved the rug underneath bit by bit. Now, it was very good exercise for my hips. I then went to the other corner and did the same thing. And now what I've got is no more rug there and no more rug here. Now what I've got is a lot of rug underneath here. Makes sense? There's a lot of rug now underneath the coffee table. So now what I did, and again, it was interesting to watch how I did it. I literally picked up this corner of the coffee table and then shifted my weight to pull the rug out a bit, then put it down again, and then did it again and did it again. Then went to the other corner. It took me a couple of hours to get that rug out. How many of you can understand how I did it? But I had all day, didn't I? That's how I looked at it. I had all day to do it. And once I got that out, I then had a nice big space where I could, because I wanted to put the Christmas tree. You see, I've got a couch here and a love seat over there, but this is a big window here. And I wanted the tree here. Okay. And once I got that coffee table moved off, I had plenty of room to do that. So I spent most of the day and just doing, how did I get the tray up? One bit at a time. The first hour, I got the actual box into the living room. That's all I did. The second hour, I undid the box and then put the bits of the tree down, and I found the base, and I put the base where it needs to go. You understand? And just each time I got up, I did another one thing. And now, after a few hours, and I wasn't in a rush, at all, but after a few hours, there's my tree. So let me see what Kez is saying. One person in my family said they're gift giver, so the gift I give him is something he can use with my great niece. Okay. Jody's saying, I enjoy seeing the process with your project, Sal. It's absolutely inspiring how you tackle problems. Jody, I think because I've lived on my own for a lot of my life, right? It's just like people mean to help and mean to come over, but things happen, get in the way, and I'm used to that. I don't get angry. It's just like, okay, do I want to wait a week? Or do I just want to go ahead and do the best I can? Now, could I phone a neighbor and get them to come over? Yeah, but I was fine. And the rug is clean. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is the spiritual experience of living every moment with love, grace, and gratitude. Agreed? Make yourself happy. Don't expect other people to do that. Hang on a second. I got getting the notes back again now, because I got lots of them for you today. All right, so have I got all those bits that I wanted to talk about what we do to ourselves? Let me just see. Yep. So snow day, and in between all of this, you understand, it's just like, now I need to go out and shovel snow. And I've got a choice, right? I got a choice. I can go out once it's about an inch deep and just move it easily, or I can wait until it's 2 inches deep and struggle. So after it was about an inch deep, I went out and did it. Nobody else did. I didn't care. It's what works for me. And then I put salt and sand down and went, okay, at least I know that there's a base there that, it's not going to freeze on that, because there'll be sand underneath and salt underneath. So I was happy with it. But the funny thing was, I woke up this morning and we ended up with about 2.5 inches of snow in a heartbeat. It came in very fast. And this morning it was gone. So it rained overnight, and the temperature warmed up and it was gone. I went, oh, that's good. And I'm certain a lot of my neighbors were saying, and that's why I didn't shovel my driveway. To me, it's like, you do it your way. Everybody needs to do it their own way. All right. And I did it whatever was going to cause me less snow. Jody's saying, I remember your first year there and how you shoveled snow in your sneakers. I think I was shoveling them with my slip-on clogs. When I say slip-ons, hang on. You could be right, Jody, but I've got a feeling I had slip-on sneakers. They weren't even real sneakers. They were like clogs. Yeah, that's right. I remember. And funny enough, Jody, every time I shovel snow, I think of that. That's funny that you should mention it, because I was thinking about that. The truth is that stress doesn't come from your boss, your kids, your spouse, traffic jams, or the holidays, or any other circumstances. It comes from your thoughts about your circumstances. Got it? Stress is ours. We create our own stress. And you might not have done enough planning to be stress free this year, or life gets in the way and creates less time or whatever. But keep a journal of what you'd like to get fixed for next year. And if you do that every year, you will end up being quite an organized person around Christmas. That is my belief. Okay, so we did that one. So now it's the third thing. Oh, yeah. Third one. And we sort of touched on this a little bit. The third stressor is dietary. Um, Now, I personally hate having to ask when I have go to a potluck or anything. I hate having to ask people who made the bean dip. And people look at me and go, why? And I go, because I have a question for them. Oh, well, I think that was Jane. So I go over to Jane. I go, Jane, did you make the bean dip? Looks great. Yes. Does it have any garlic in it? What? I said, I'm really sorry to need to ask you, but it looks so good and I'd love to have some, but I'm allergic to garlic. Therefore, I need to ask you, did you huck some garlic in there? Doesn't matter if it happened to have a little bit of garlic in the seasoning, but was there any fresh garlic in there? And I have to do that all the time when I go to potluck type things. Now, obviously, when I go to where people know me, they're inclined to say, Sal, you can eat absolutely everything except for that dip over there. Thanks very much. And I thoroughly enjoy my evening. However, all sorts of people, have you noticed that how many people have got different sorts of allergies? And one person's delight is another person's kryptonite. And I'm thinking about, for example, with soap. One person loves, I've got one person in my life that loves eucalyptus in their soap, asks me to make me soap with eucalyptus in it all the time. So I do. Guess what? Jody will end up in ER. It's her kryptonite. Do you understand? So now, do they mean to be a pain? No, and they're not a pain. They're just, as I say to people, I personally love garlic. My body doesn't. You know, again, do it with humor. I personally love garlic. Would love to have your dip. But if I do, I'm going to be rushed home. Yes. All right. Sal, have you ever been at a situation where you accidentally ate garlic at a get together? Many, many times it has happened. One was at a company Christmas dinner where they promised me absolutely through the roof there was no garlic. And I want to tell you, I took 2 bites of something and went, I need to go home now. There was garlic in there. And how do I know? Because my body reacts. I get, people ask me, what does it feel like? You know what it's like when you get the flu and you get disoriented? Do you know that feeling where you sort of, you're there, but you're not, sort of thing? Well, I want to tell you, when I eat garlic, my blood pressure drops so dramatically that that's what it feels like to me. I almost that I dissociate. So it's pretty, and it takes about an hour for it really to kick in full blast, and then I need to sleep it off. It is scary, Jody. You're right. Um, but it's happened many times. People used to invite me to dinner, and I'd be the guest of honor, and they would make me this incredible meal. I remember going to one person's house, and they obviously had spent so much time and effort in making this meal. And the first course was shrimps floating in garlic, which I had to dodge. And the second course was English roast lamb with garlic in it. Literally garlic cloves in the lamb. What do I do? They never asked me, and it's just like I went home pretty hungry that day. And they were so upset. And I said, look, you didn't know, and I didn't think to tell you, quite honestly, and that's my bad. But I hope everybody else had a wonderful meal. And I said, I didn't come for the food. I came to see you guys. So I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah, don't feel badly. But they do, obviously. Next time I went to visit them, they made sure. And when I go to visit Benji and Judy, right, they cook with garlic all the time. So, and they're so good about making sure that they don't when I go there. So, but think about it. There are a lot of people with a lot of allergies. I know somebody in my life who almost without fail cooks things with alcohol in them. Whenever she sends me the recipe, which she does regularly, it always says, and I start with half a bottle of bourbon, or or this, that, and the other. And I remember one day saying, "Do you warn people about that?" About what? And I said that you've got a lot of alcohol in there. Now, why would I do that? Gives it a great taste. And I said, what about people who are recovering alcoholics? Don't you think you should warn them? The answer was, listen up to this for an answer. The answer was, we don't invite that sort of person. And I said, how do you know? Really? How do you know what people are allergic to? Tess is asking me, does the fact that people have garlic on their breath affect me? No, not at all. No, no. Yes, Jody. Jody remembers that I was down with Benji and Judy one time, and I went to shake hands with Mia, and she refused. I meant to give her a hug, and she just said no. She refused to hug me, and eventually I called Mommy, and I said, Jude, you got to help me here. Why does Mia not want to hug me? What have I done? What? And it turned out that she had some crackers or something that she knew had garlic in them, and she knew I was allergic, and she was scared of hurting me. I mean, I burst into tears. It was so loving, so loving. And I said to Judy, I don't know how you explained it to them, but you did a really good job, honey. Really good job. So don't get angry with people who have allergies. Get curious. Find out how long they've had it. For example, my allergy for garlic only came in once I went into menopause for some reason. Up until then, never been a problem. I hit menopause. That's the end of garlic. Now then, talking about dietary, how many of you have started baking cookies and things? Well, I decided I love shortbread, so I thought, I baked some shortbread cookies this week because I've been making my own butter. As some of you know, I've been having fun making my own butter. So I've got quite a bit of butter that I've stored away, and I thought, I'm going to make some shortbread cookies, and I made some, and then I ate them. No, I don't mean a couple. I mean I ate the whole lot, and I'm pre-diabetic, and I ate all the cookies in one sitting, just about. I mean, forget lunch or dinner. I had a day of eating shortbread cookies. But there is something that I know now about myself, which is if I have one of those days, it is better to eat the sugar in one day and then spend a couple of days drinking a lot of water and drinking a lot of soups and stuff. Hi, Kimmy. Than it is to try not to eat the cookies. It's like you're going to eat them anyway. You might as well enjoy them. So, I hope some of you laughed at that. I mean, they were really good. I also made some puff pastry treats, which disappeared very quickly as well. So again, self-inflicted wound. Nobody forced me to eat them, but I so enjoyed them. Now, in a minute now, I will start making mince pies, English mince pies. That's because, I grew up eating those, and I will make them and eat them. How about this one? Ashton Eaton said, my key to dealing with stress, listen up, is simple. Just stay cool and focused. How many of you know that if you spent less time flapping about it and more time staying cool and focused on what you're meant to be doing, you would have far less stress? I think that's a great quote. So now then, we're talking we're talking now about the fourth major stressor, which has to do with the lack of discipline. For example, my inability to say no to the cookies. Um, but also, and we talked about this earlier, that we let our normal routines go. All right. So we're not doing the same exercise. Why? Because we're so busy with the Christmas stuff. And last night, for some reason, I went to bed at my usual time and I was still awake at 6 o'clock this morning. Now, I thought about just getting up and starting the day at 6 and just getting on with it. But I thought, no, I need to get some sleep. I don't care if it's only 4 or 5 hours. I need to get some sleep. And luckily, I remember seeing 10 to 7. So I was still awake at 10 to 7. And then I fell asleep. And I slept very well for a few hours. And I got up at 10. So 3 hours, solid, really good sleep. So what do you need to do to make that okay? All right. And what I know is that doesn't happen every night. I don't know what I was worried about or what was going on in my mind, but something was, and I didn't sleep. But then I've got a really good benchmark in Jody. Jody hasn't slept well for a couple of years. Hey, Jode. So 3 hours sleep for her was a lot of sleep for a couple of years. Now she's doing better now, but for a couple of years. So I know that it's possible to do without sleep. Just don't make a habit of it if you can help it. And the other thing is, after I finish the broadcast, there's nobody telling me I can't get a couple more hours sleep in. What are you saying there, Kimmy, about the CPAC machine? I did put that on at about 6 o'clock. I put that on. Actually, I put it on earlier, but I still wasn't going to sleep for some reason. But do you understand that part of our stress management is to forgive ourselves? I forgave myself for eating the shortbread. Yeah, Jody's saying 3 to 4 hours was a benchmark for years, and now I'm so blessed to be getting 5 or 6. Yeah, that's what I remembered. When I went, oh, I've only had about 3 hours sleep, I go, Jody lived quite well on that. Not her choice, but she survived that. It's not going to kill you. Try and make it up if you can. And the important thing, how much sleep are you averaging? And I've been averaging a lot more sleep than normal than I was a year ago. You know that, Jody. I was averaging about 4 or 5 hours a year ago, and now I'm averaging sort of 8 or 9. So I'm quite happy. So, but be aware. All right, we said this earlier. As far as possible, keep your routines. Do your 20 minutes of exercise a day. Get outside, get some fresh air. You will be less stressed if you do that. Be at war with your vices and at peace with your neighbors, and let each new year find you as a better person. Benjamin Franklin said that. And here, who said this? Let me find this. Catherine Pulser said, when you find yourself stressed, ask yourself one question. Will this matter in years from now? If yes, then do something about the situation. And if no, let it go. Remember the tree? The fact that my elves couldn't come? All right. It was just like, I got a choice, put the tree up or not. And if I want it up badly enough, I'll find a way to do it. And I did. And I didn't stress out about it. I just did a little bit each hour until it was all done. It took all day, but I did it. So Kimmy's saying that she still has stomach problems from the CPAC machine. Um, I explain to us again why the CPAC machine caused stomach problems. Too much air in your stomach. I'm trying to imagine why. I think you have told me before, but I've forgotten. All right, so now I want to get to the last one, which is where I come back to Jeannie. And they say that of the five top ones, the fifth one is the stress of sadness and loneliness. The stress of sadness and loneliness. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago was that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Um, and all that means. So Jody, you know, being scared of that operation was inevitable. All right, but you didn't wallow in it. And when you got through and you were alive, you went immediately into a place of gratitude, and then you ended up with an infection that caused you all sorts of pain and trouble. But again, you did it with such grace. I really, the Jody I know today is not the Jody I met 10 years ago. That's for sure. So to me, this is like, I think about Jeannie, celebrating now her second um, Christmas without York. Not easy. She will never forget that pain. Um, but she's done such a good job of balancing out and not wallowing in it, and making sure that she invites people or she goes to visit people or whatever. She has taken accountability for her mental health. And I want to be so aware. I want you to be aware what incredible self-management that takes from Jeannie. And Jody, you're saying, I'm so grateful to be alive and to be here with you all. Yeah, I get that feeling all the time from you, all right, that you are just so glad and so grateful to still be alive, right? Um, and yeah, sure, you got some pain, and sure, you've now got another bit of this illness going on, but each time, and I think about that Jody that I met 10 years ago that was dying, and I think, boy, you certainly didn't rush to go that route, that's for sure. And it's been my absolute honor to hold your hand through it all, because it really has taught me so much. Yeah, and Jody's saying to Jeannie, I'm so proud of you, Jeannie, and I'm honored to be your friend. Isn't that beautiful? So, Jeannie, we know the pain of loss that you feel. We all have our own version of that for whatever reason, but it'll never be the same as yours, and that's why it's a very private thing. But I do know that I am so proud of you for how you've been handling this year. This year has been very difficult for you, but you've handled it with such grace as well, the same as Jody has. And that's emotional intelligence, which is where you can take a very bad thing and not make it, not wallow in it. So, Kimmy, I want to go back to what you're saying about the air, that you're saying that using the CPAC machine put air into your stomach, and now you don't use it, but you still get air in your stomach. So then maybe it wasn't the CPAP machine. I'm going, how do you get air into your stomach? That means that you're breathing through your mouth, not through your nose. Jody is saying, Jody 10 years ago doesn't exist anymore, thankfully. No coincidence that I found you, Sal. I wouldn't have been here if I hadn't met you. Yeah, I know that. In a way, I know that. But, would I be here without you, Jody? Have you thought about that? Yeah, and Kez is saying, Jody, you should be very proud of your willpower and strength that you have. But Kez, how about your willpower and strength? Or Karen's? You see, we each have our journey, and I would like to suggest that what is really important is we understand that the more skills we get, the more we get challenged. All right. And so, therefore, I don't think that anybody's journey is harder or easier than anybody else. In a way, Jodie's journey, in some ways, is probably easier than somebody else's. Why? She's got the emotional intelligence to cope with it now. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't worry as much. I care deeply, but I don't worry as much about Jodie as I did, because I know that as soon as she's got, the two brain cells both working again, she would be on a plan. How do I make the best of this? I know that. I've been there with her. Make time to go outside or simply take a break from the craziness that surrounds the holiday season. I am just amazed. I got 2 weeks to go and I'm already wrapping stuff. Quite surprised. Yeah. I'm going, oh, I think I can wrap stuff now. um, and I'm having fun with it. Every day I wrap a little bit more. Jodie's saying, Kez, thank you for the kind words. I'm nothing special. I just do the best I can, and I'm inspired by every single Dear Mama Sal viewer, including you. Yeah, and Jodie's saying, and Sal set my two marbles in the right direction. Well, and isn't that what friends do, Jodie? It's just like, so, isn't that what friends do? And so Kez is saying, I like to use somebody's journey as inspiration. Yeah, I do it all the time. I think about Jodie or Erin or, all these people that are dealing with very different stuff. Now, I'm certain some of you probably go, well, what about Sal and her, cancer and whatever? It's just like, hey, we all have wonderful examples. And we can choose whether to get sucked into it all or whether we can live the best possible life we can with what we've got or not got. And it's funny, somebody said, oh, but you haven't got cancer anymore. You had the mastectomy. I said, how do you know that? What? How do you know I don't have cancer? Well, you had the mastectomy. I said, yeah, but that's only, that I no longer have cancer right here because that part of my body is missing. What about the rest? How do you know? Oh, I don't want to think like that. I said, no, but seriously, how do you know? You don't. How do you know you're not riddled with it? It's just like, we don't know. So we might as well live the best life we can. The same thing is one of the reasons, I will give Doug his presents this week probably because I don't know when I'll see him again. And let's be honest, or if I will. What if I didn't? It's just like I don't presume these things anymore. I think that's one of the things. Jodie, would you agree with me on that one? When you get these life-threatening things happen to you, you realize that you don't necessarily know that you're going to have another one, like another Christmas or another birthday or whatever. And so therefore, the ones that you have, you celebrate differently. However, I do like the fact that stressed spelled backwards is desserts. So the answer to all holiday stresses: enjoy the season, big time. So I look at it and go, how much stress, how much anxiety are we putting on ourselves? And again, I want to talk about what I believe about anxiety. I believe that anger is and depression happen when we look back on things. Okay. and we're not living in the present. We're regurgitating what happened. That you want to go into depression, that's a really good way of doing it. And I believe depression is anger turned inwards. I've been there, so I know what it was for me. And I spent many years learning how not to be depressed. And guess what? I learned to be angry. I learned it's okay to be angry. And now when people really piss me off, I tell them that. And sometimes not quite nicely either. You can probably imagine. I have a way with words. But it took me a long time. And anxiety is when you're worried about what if of the future or whatever. So if you are really stressing out about, well, I've only got 2 more weeks until Christmas and I haven't got half of it done, you will think about that. How many Christmases have you said, I'll never get all this done? And you did. Come on, be honest now. How many Christmases have you sat there and went, I'm never going to get all this done? The question is, what are you going to drop so that you have enough time to do it? That's all. Yeah. Will there be more takeout meals coming into the house so that you've got time to wrap? Will there be, those are all the choices that we make to make enough time. Kimmy's saying, I watched a movie on Netflix that really affected me. It's called Leave the World Behind. And just so that we know what we're in for, what is the bottom line there? Which is not to get sucked into everything. When it really comes down to it, I've already done my Christmas in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? I made my cards in January. I made presents all year. I sent them out. I was a bit late, about a week late due to life. I got bronchitis and that messed me up for a week. But I only was a week behind. And so, yeah, Jody's saying, every Christmas I say, never again. But here I am, knee deep in to-do lists. But I have my secret weapon, DearMamaSal. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Jody. Without a doubt, if you spent as much time doing as you do doing the list, then you get a lot more done. There's no doubt about that. And that's one of the questions, by the way, Jody, I ask people who are very effective, like Doug, all right, handles so many different balls in the air. And what I realize is he has it all documented, but not in 10,000 lists. Correct, Jody? It gets simple now. All right. So now instead of I want to get Christmas done, I just asked myself, what's the one next step you could do today? That's all. Just one step. You don't have to do anything else. I have been ordering boxes. Every week or every month I go, what do I need for Christmas? So I got all the boxes in that I wanted. I have the wrapping paper in that I wanted. I had, you know what I mean? It was just like, I've been literally every single week of the year, I've been asking myself, what do I need that I know of? And that's why I feel I'm pretty much together. So I ask you all to realize it may be too late to fix this year. And Jody, that's why you need to let it all go. All right? You will find the time to get what you want for Lionel and for Taylor, your little fluff ball. You will do that because that's really important to you. You know that I know you love me dearly. You tell me that every week because you're here. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's like you've already done Christmas. It always comes together somehow, doesn't it? It's because we learn what we can let go of. We might not want to let go of it, but we know that we can. And for those who are on a very tight budget, how many of you know you let go of some meals just so that you can buy the presents you want to? I know that's true. Or instead of having a really nice meal, you eat something out of a can just so that you can buy a present for somebody. So I look at all these decisions that we make and realize that this is all part of what makes us who we are. And you should never regret it. You should never, oh, should. I don't want to say should, that's a guilt word. But we don't have to regret it. It's a bit like we don't have to be embarrassed if we take a meal to a potluck and nobody wants it. Right? This is like silly them. I'm taking it home and going to enjoy it. Do you understand the different mentality? And to me, I also take it as a learning moment, right? What I've just discovered, this is not a good thing. As nice as this is, it's not a good thing to bring to a potluck. All right. And that's really important to know. So every day is a learning day if you want it to be. If you want it to be. I have learned I can remove the carpet from under my coffee table, but it takes about 3 hours. Now, I could leave the carpet, think about this, I could leave the carpet where it is and not put it back and then have Doug put it back for me when he comes. But you and I both know that's unlikely to be happening. Because now that the tree's up, tomorrow I will tidy up all the stuff. And then once all the tidying up's done, I will put the carpet back. Slowly. The same way that I took it out. Take me 3 hours. I know that now. Maybe longer going the other way. I don't know. But I'll allow 3 hours for it. So remember that stress doesn't come from what's going on in your life. It comes from your thoughts about what's going on in your life. All right? So much of our stress is self-inflicted. You will make it to Christmas, hopefully. And you will have all the emotions. People will mess with your brain. You will not set some boundaries and you'll promise yourself, I'm not going to do that again. And you will. But 1 year you'll say, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of scrabbling for everything at the last moment. And Jody, before you beat up on yourself about how far behind you were on Christmas, did you expect to get as ill as you did this year? It's just like, how could you plan around that? All right? There's no way. Be kind to my friend, please. Ronald Reagan always said that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. So the conflict that goes on in your brain is up to you to control. Kim says, I just stopped worrying about getting everything for everybody. Just hearing or being with them is good. Yeah, simple. Keep it simple. And Jody, I'm really trying to focus on the blessings that are appearing instead of the pressure of, I need to do X, Y, Z, and then 55 things. You need to get to Christmas. And you need to enjoy your Christmas meal. You right? And everything else. And you need to keep your faith, because faith is very important to you. So, you look at what's important, and the rest is, if I have time, I'll do the rest. And in what order? Do you have to give presents to the Meals on Wheels people? No, but you will, because that's important to you. You understand? You will, because it's important to you. And Kimmy, I think that you have Christmas back in the right place. All right? Stop worrying about impressing people. Stop worrying about making the perfect whatever. This is about just make sure people know you love them. And that's not done with presents. That's done with showing them that you love them and telling them that you love them. I believe, don't tell people you love them, show them that you do. How many of you agree with me on that one? I had so many people in my life tell me that they loved me and then proved otherwise. I now believe it when people show me that they do. And that can be through very small things. All right. So Jody's saying what I want to avoid is missing Christmas because of the self-inflicted stress. Yes. I don't want it to be, I can't see the wood for the trees thing. Yeah. And I thought about what happens if I break this tooth before Christmas Day. We know half of it's already missing. What if the other half breaks and I've got to spend Christmas with, you know, a broken front tooth, completely broken? So what? The people who love me won't really care, will they? If you think about it, the people who love me won't care. They'll feel sorry for me, ask me if it hurts. There we go, Kez. You're right. We need to remember to enjoy having a good belly laugh and hugging our family on Christmas or friends, right? Because not everybody's family deserves a hug. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And yes, Jody. And Jody's saying, and I will still be my beautiful self, right? Because it's not about the tooth, it's about who am I as a person. All right. So have a wonderful week. And just remember, just do things slowly, but keep focus. The most important thing is we lose focus. I have to tell you, although you're not going to like it, playing video games does not help you get Christmas under control. It is okay to spend 15 minutes just to regroup, but don't spend hours at it. Please. It is okay to binge watch, but try and binge watch and multitask. In other words, wrap your presents while you're binge watching. You all know that, she's going to marry the prince eventually. Or you all know that she's going to meet this guy, and then somewhere around about the middle, she's going to mess with his brain in some way, and they will go their separate ways. And then you'll just wait to see how do they get back together again, because they're going to. It's Christmas movies. This is DearMamaSal saying, the stressors around this time are inevitable. How we cope with them is our choice. We'll see you, hopefully, God willing. We'll see you on Friday. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you all so much for being here. And leave any comments you like. If you have any other topics you would like me to talk about, as we had this one come from a viewer this week, please let me know. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you, Jody and Jeannie, for looking after me here. And to all of you, have a wonderful week. We'll see you Friday. Bye-bye for now.